wasn't my memory. It was actually Scott.
There you go.
Very good. Okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chris Spencer. I'm the co-chair of the fair along with Scott Barry, who's also on the call. Tonight we have Heather Brockert-Bell and Vidya Murthy, who will be our presenters of the workshop. I'd like to thank all of you for showing up tonight, and I hope you get some good information from the proceedings. So without further ado, let's see, it's Vidya. Would you please take it away?
Sure.
Yeah, I just have to share my screen, so just give me 1 second.
Okay.
So while she's doing that, I just wanted to say a couple of things. I again want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your evenings to come to this this orientation session, and of course taking a day out of your weekend on April 5th to come and assess and help out with our budding scientists. It's much appreciated. A couple of basics to get out of the way before we start with the presentation is first, ask questions anytime that you want to. I will try to remember to pause in between to see if there's any questions. Heather, if you can also just poke me if I'm not doing that often enough.
Same to you, Vidya.
We'll do. And if you want to post a question on the chat, Chris is manning the chat and he'll answer questions as they come in, or we can take it up live on the call itself. I am known to speak a little fast sometimes, so if I am speaking fast, do just poke me again to say slow down. But hopefully this will be good going forward. Okay, let's get started. The Quinte Regional Science and Technology Fair is exactly that. It's a regional science fair for students from grade 4 to 12 in the geographic area of the Hastings and Prince Edward County. So this means that students from the 3 school boards, the private schools and homeschoolers are eligible and do participate in this fair on a yearly basis. Our aim is to provide a memorable experience for all of the participants. The better the judge-student interaction, the better the student experience. So your role as a judge is vitally important. Brand spanking new this year is the Judge's Handbook. The team has worked tirelessly on this, and the Judge's Handbook will contain all of the information that we're going to cover in the session today, including some tips and tricks to help you with your judging tasks. Most of you will have received a PDF copy of the handbook in the introduction email, and possibly with the registration or the invitation to this session email. We're also going to put a link to the direct link to the handbook in the chat. Do keep it handy, review it before the science fair so that you can become familiar before the judging actually starts. So there are 3 main judging tasks that will occur during the science fair. All of you will do at least one of them. Some of you will do more than one. The first task is to select the winners of the QRSTF awards. These are the awards that are sponsored by the Quinte Regional Science and Technology Fair. All these projects are grouped according to grade and then divided into groups of 4 to 6 projects each. And within each group, the judges will be choosing the first, second, third, or the honorable mentions. More details on this process will be covered later on in the session. The second task is to select winners of the special awards. Every project is eligible to choose up to 3 special awards that they want to be considered for. These special awards are funded by sponsors such as the Astronomy Club or the Association of Professional Engineers. And these sponsors will dictate the criteria for the special awards. Again, we'll go into more details towards the second half of the session. The third task is to select up to 5 students between grades 7 and 12 to represent our area at the Canada-wide Science Fair. This judging is done by a select group of judges who are experienced in this and will be using the Canada-wide criteria to select these 5 students. Now, those are the judging tasks, but your first role as a judge is to be supportive. We've got to remember that these students are going to be quite nervous. Some of them are quite young. Some of them, this is the first time they've done it. So you will get their best if you make them feel comfortable. Being aware of your own body language as you're judging is very important. Avoid towering over the younger children. A lot of them are shorter than me anyway. At this point, get down to their eye level. Perhaps ask for a chair to sit down. Break the ice before getting right into judging. Smile. Listen intently to what they're saying. Ask thoughtful questions. The handbook comes in handy here. On page 18 of the handbook, there's some examples of questions that you could ask to kind of break yourself into the judging session. Now, as part of the judging process, you are required to provide a project feedback form. Remember that when providing the feedback, we'd like to look at things as glass half full and not necessarily half empty. Recognize all the strengths of the projects, but also recognize that weaknesses can be rephrased as recommendations for future projects. Your second role of a judge is to be evaluative. This is where the 3 judging rounds will, the 3 judging tasks will come in. The first round of judging will rank the order of projects into first, second, third, and honorable mention in the group of 46 projects that you're assigned. Special award judges will rank their applicants based on the sponsor's criteria, and the Canada-wide judges will review all projects between grades 7 and 12 and select according to the Canada-wide criteria. Now, as judges, you will receive a rubric to help you evaluate the projects. For the rubric to be useful, you as a judge must be knowledgeable with the descriptors. These are very important, so we're going to go through this a little bit carefully. This slide shows the first half of the rubric. It covers the part A, scientific thought. The next slide, coming up in a couple of minutes, provides the criteria for originality and communication. The highlighted section at the top is really important. So I'm going to read it out loud slowly, and then we'll talk through it. Use this rubric to assign a level 1, 2, 3, or 4 against the criteria for the project. Then choose a mark within the range provided for that level. This mark reflects the quality and the strength of the project relative to the other projects you've assigned the same level. So what does this mean? It means that the first step for you as a judge is to determine what level a project will fall into. For example, if you've got an experiment that replicates one that's found on the internet, but has some added controls or maybe works with a different subject matter, then it probably falls within a level 2. What you do after all your projects have been judged is to look at the projects in each level and then reassess them and mark them within the range that's identified. So the level 2 projects, you'd assign marks between 31 and 35. Remember that the higher the mark, the better the project. And this will become important later as we go into ranking. The second part of the rubric covers creativity and originality and communication. Again, it's important to familiarize yourself with the descriptors here prior to judging on April 5th so that it becomes second nature as you talk through the project with your students. This rubric is also included in the handbook on page 9, so you can review it at any time. It's important to note that these rubrics are not to be given to students. This is only for your use to track your thinking and your marks of the projects. Next, we'll go on to the results summary sheet. This is where all the tabulations happen. Each of the judges in the group, there'll be 2 judges per group, will receive one of these sheets. They'll serve 4 different functions. And the first one is that it'll identify the projects that you're assigned to judge. You'll see it highlighted here. The sheet also provides a record of the marks assigned by each judge. So each judge will initialize either J1 or J2, and then enter the mark for the 3 criterias that, or the 3 sections that we've identified, and total the marks up. The third function of this form is that this is how judges will communicate the results back to the QRSTF committee. And finally, the fourth function is that it provides a record of the awards that you will hand out to the projects in your group. How this will work is that each judge, sorry, if you can go back.
Sorry, video.
That's okay.
There we go.
Once each judge has completed marking individually, so independently, you would interview your students and then mark the projects individually. The pair will average the results and then use the average to determine the overall ranks in the last column. Use 1 copy of this form to compile all the marks and complete the medals required section, and hand it into the committee so that we can put it in for the final records. The second form is for the judging group itself to use, so that when you need to hand out the ribbons and medals to your group, this can be a record of who gets what. Again, we'll provide a little bit more details in the second half of the session. Heather, you want to continue?
Sure. Did we want to pause for questions?
Yes.
Does anybody, actually, I'm going to get out of here. Well, maybe if nobody has any questions, we
I
can
don't
just.
see any on the chat here.
Oh, there's no chat. Let's go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so once I scroll through this slide here, now I'm going to share with you the structure, how the day is actually going to be structured. So just to give you an overview of the process, this chart, starting from the bottom, this is how the judging process will proceed through the day. So the first round of judging, you'll be judging in your partner, either somewhere between 4 and 6 projects, and all the grades are broken down into these groups of projects essentially. So you'll be assigned 4 to 6 projects in 1 grade. You'll be judging all those projects, and that's round 1. So you'll pick first, second, third from that round of judging. And that will happen before lunch. We're going to talk a little bit more detail how the schedule actually breaks down once I just give you this overview here. So then after lunch, we move on to the second round of judging. And as Vidya mentioned, not everyone will necessarily be involved in the second round of judging or the third round of judging, but many of you may be. So we'll just go through it here. So the second round of judging, you're going to pick best in the grade overall. So the first round of judging, you're picking the best in your group. That gets fed up into the next round of judging, the second round, where you're picking the best in the grade. And then those results feed into the third round of judging, where you're picking the best in a division. So in this example, in this particular slide, this is the junior division, which consists of grade 4, 5, and 6. So there are 3 divisions that will be judged overall, but this particular diagram just captures the grades 4, 5, and 6 procedure, but it will look the same for all 3 divisions. Okay, so here is the actual schedule and what will be occurring. So when you get to Centennial High School, around 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be greeted at the entrance. You'll, of course, provide your name and someone will hand you a judge's envelope. And in that envelope will be several things, including a name tag, your assigned seat. So we ask that you take your assigned seat because you will be partnered. You'll be sitting with your partner at that assigned seat, and you'll need to sort of collude with them to figure out what you're going to be doing. Yeah, so you'll meet your partner at your assigned seat. At that point, you will want to preview the envelope contents. And inside the envelope will be your checklist and your project summaries. And of course, most importantly, you want to grab a coffee. From 8:30 to 9, we have the chair's remarks, and you'll continue to discuss with your partner. And especially, this will be especially important if this is your first time judging, but we've changed the procedure a little bit. So even if you have judged previously, you'll want to make sure that you're on the same page as your partner for when the judging actually begins.
Heather?
Then we have, sorry, Vidya, yes?
No problem. Chris has got a question if you want to quickly take that.
Sure, yes.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
I was trying to get this when you said it. Are we coming through the front doors at Centennial or coming through the gym doors at Centennial?
The
Right.
front doors,
All right.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
I believe there'll be signs there, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct, Vidya?
Yeah,
Chris?
there will
Yeah.
be. There will be people guiding the cars through.
And
Yeah.
banners.
Yeah, you won't miss it. Okay, so from any other questions actually before we continue on here?
Is there a dress code? The answer is yes. In the
Yes.
sense that good, nice casual, please. We would one up from jeans if you can.
Yeah.
Remember,
As
I think children take this very seriously, and that same seriousness should be reflected back onto them.
Indeed. So professional, yeah. Okay, so 9 o'clock to 9:10, you're going to briefly meet the students in your groups. And what you're going to do at that time is hand out these sheets for the Good Communicator Award. And every student that you are judging will get one of these sheets. So brief introduction, sort of initial ice breaking, hand these sheets out. Then we move on to the real deal, the full show. So the judging starts at 9:10. You have from 9:10 to 10:40 to judge up to 6 different groups, depending on how many entrants we have and how many groups are assigned to you. You have 15 minutes maximum to judge each project. And unlike previous years, we will actually have a bell that will determine when you need to move on to the next group. Crucially, this year, you're going to be judging independently. So your partner and you will not be judging the same students at the same time. You'll each be judging independently, and then you'll come back together after you're finished judging and tabulate your marks together. So just to reiterate that, each partner judges independently. During the first round, you have 15 minutes maximum per project. So keep in mind your time limits there so that you don't forget to finish your interview. And you want to be making sure that you're taking notes while you're doing your interviews, because especially if you have projects that are very similar, and of course you're not going to know that until you're finished judging all your projects, you'll want to be able to make a determination later on. And then probably more importantly than that, even, you want to be able to fill out your feedback forms for your students with enough detail to give them constructive feedback. So you want to make sure that you're taking notes and make sure that you're moving when you hear the bell. So then 10:40 to 11, you're going to reconvene with your partner. You're going to complete your results summary sheets and your medal count table. And we want you to turn in your results ASAP. At that time, you're also going to retrieve your medals and ribbons. And then from 11 to 11:30, we want you to work on probably the more onerous task, which is completing the project feedback forms. We want you to give good detailed feedback to the students. And at that time, you're also going to complete the QRSTF evaluation form. So every year, we're looking to improve the science fair. So we really value your feedback. So please complete that form at the same time. But again, more importantly, complete those project feedback forms for the students. And you're going to refer to the detailed notes that you've made while you've been conducting your interviews first thing in the morning. Then from 11:30 to 12, you'll hand out all of your participation certificates. You'll hand out second and third place medals, but you won't hand out first place medals because those will be handed out at the awards ceremony later on. You want to have a little chat with your students while you hand out the feedback forms, a little debrief of their project feedback forms. Then 12 to 12:30, cafeteria is open. This is lunchtime. We ask that you don't eat in the gymnasium. Pizza will be provided to the judges, and we want you to turn in all of your materials and evaluation forms at that point. And at that point, round one is finished. So you're complete round one.
Just one comment. During 12 to 12:30 period, there is to be no judging. This is also an opportunity for the students to take a break and not have to worry about missing a judge coming by or not. And the judges will also be provided with the complimentary lunch. So it's a time for you to take a break as well and gather your thoughts for the afternoon.
Yep. Everybody needs to have a break so that we can perform at our best. Okay, so this is the judges' feedback form to the QRSTF committee that I mentioned earlier. Again, we really try to improve the process every year. So any feedback that you have, positive or negative, please include it on this feedback form and hand it in to us. Okay, so after lunch, we move on to second round judging, and remember that not everyone will necessarily be involved in second and third round judging, but you might be. In fact, a large number of you will be. So second round judging takes place from 11:15 to 12 and also from 12:30 to 1. So a little bit before lunch and also after lunch. But remember, as Vidya said, between 12 and 12:30, no judging is to take place. So in your judging team, you will be comparing the best projects of a grade, and you're going to be choosing the best in the grade. And you're going to be doing this again as a team. And as a team, you're going to complete the orange ranking form and hand this in to the committee room before 1 p.m. So we want to make sure that we stay on schedule, keep things rolling so the tabulations can happen and awards can be given out at the ceremony. Third round judging takes place exclusively in the afternoon. So these judging teams will pick the best project in a division. So the three divisions are grades 4 to 6, grades 7 to 8, and grades 9 to 12. And once more, we ask that these results are handed in promptly before 2:30 p.m. so that everything can be organized for the results for the awards ceremony. Special awards judging, as Vidya mentioned before. So we've got these special awards, and the funders of the awards come up with the criteria on which these awards are to be judged. And special awards judging takes place throughout the day, but it's important for special awards judges to be aware that during round one judging, round one judges take precedence. So if there is a round one judge interviewing a student, you should not, as a special awards judge, be attempting to interview them at the same time. So you give the precedence to the round one judges. You should have more than enough students to interview without having to take up the space from the round one judges. So special awards judging, again, taking place from 9 o'clock to 12 and 12:30 to 2. And if you are a special awards judge, you'll be handed a list of projects where the students have actually applied to be judged for that special award. So you have to make sure as a special awards judge that you go and you judge every single one of those projects thoroughly on that list. And to ensure that this happens, there is a tag on each of the projects where you'll have to sign off saying that, yes, I judged all of these projects. However, It may be the case that your special awards, the criteria for the special award that you are judging, has not been sufficiently met by any of the projects included on your list. And in that case, you are allowed to actually investigate any project within the fair to see if they meet the criteria. And if you find a project that isn't on your list that actually satisfies the criteria of the special award better than the projects that were on the list, then you are fully allowed to give the award to that project that satisfies the criteria. And once all the projects have been judged, you're going to meet as a group to discuss the strongest candidates for the award, and you're going to pick a single winner. I don't remember if it's on a slide coming up, but it is really crucial to mention that for round 1, 2, and 3, as well as special awards judging, you cannot tie for first place. You can tie for other rankings for the other rounds of judging, but you cannot tie for first place. So you're going to have to make a decision. Now, this is really the meat of what we're doing. What we want to arrive at the end of the day is ranking. So we want to rank projects relative to one another. And this is often, especially if projects are similar to one another, facilitated by actually assigning marks. So Vidya kind of went through those rubrics before, and the numbers aren't so important, but when you get projects that are close to each other, you need to start assigning them marks so that you can sort out actually which project is better. So you want to rank these ultimately in order of excellence. And again, useful when differentiating between similar projects. So if you're struggling to actually make a decision in terms of especially which project should be first, you should consult the chief judge at that point. Note also, science is inherently collaborative. It is not your job as a judge to determine how much help the students had from parents or someone else. What you are looking for is their ability to communicate the details of the project. So do they understand the project, and how well are they actually able to tell you about it? We're never going to know how much help they actually had. Again, that's not our job. And in the real world, scientists often work together. And finally, if you are assigning marks because you're having trouble differentiating between projects, or even if that's just your process, regardless of why you're doing it, the students are not to see those marks. They will know the ranking, obviously, at least for the top 3, but they will not see the actual marks that you've assigned them. Okay, so what are the different project types that you might encounter? And so the astute among you will probably have noticed on that grading rubric that there were different project types mentioned. So what are those? There are 2 broad categories of projects. So there's discovery, and this includes sort of any empirical investigation where people are collecting data. This can range all the way from controlled laboratory experiments up to case studies where a single individual is being studied. Anything where you're collecting data and analyzing and presenting that data. The other project type is an innovation. So this is the development of new devices, of new processes. You could develop an algorithm, anything. You're not collecting data, you're creating something new. So that's an innovation. Did someone have a question?
There's nothing in the chat.
Okay. It's important to note that all project types are eligible, and they are all eligible to be judged against one another. And this is really the utility of the grading rubric, is so that we can try to assess these on a level playing field. So trying to compare apples to apples, as it were. And once again, the emphasis should be on the process and on the student's ability to communicate. So just to drill down a little bit deeper into the various sorts of projects that you might encounter, just to give you some concrete examples of things. An experiment, again, this is an empirical investigation. You might compare different things. So things like asking about the efficiency of various light bulbs, the effect of sunlight on fabric types. You might also investigate the change in some factor, either by manipulating it yourself or a natural experiment, such as something that is manipulated in the environment. You're not changing something. The effect of daylight on plant growth. So you're not necessarily changing daylight unless you're doing that artificially in a lab, which you could. The effect of temperature on cyanoacrylate glue adhesion strength. So it's a very specific example, but these are all empirical investigation. Studies are also empirical, but these are things where typically you're observing something happening in a naturalistic setting. So something like loon habitats, meteors and human history, the age of airliners and crash probabilities. So again, these are all empirical, meaning that you're collecting data, you're quantifying something somehow, and you're analyzing and presenting that. And contrast that again to innovations. So the development here of new devices, biodegradable golf tees, voice-controlled faucet, binocular robotic vision, computerized snow pushing robot, but even things like the development of algorithms or processes, those are also innovations. Okay, and I'll turn it back over to video for these last couple of slides.
So a couple of things, if you can just go forward there, Heather. All right. So while the science fair is running, there's going to be a whole group of us around to help you with, I guess, first of all, locating a project. If you've not done this before, the gymnasium will be littered with tables and chairs and projects. We will have maps available, but if you're still having trouble locating any particular project, please reach out to any of us walking around or the info desk that's also in the gymnasium, and they can help you out. Remember that discussions between the judges about any particular project should be out of earshot of the students themselves. Ideally, they should be in the judge's room, which will be the library. It should not be in the gymnasium. It should not be in the corridors where the students and or their parents could be walking past you. Any discussions that you want to have should be done in the library, out of earshot of the students. Now, if there's any questions or concerns about the projects, if there is disagreement as to the ranking of the projects, and remember, there's no ties for first, Chris Spencer will be available as chief judge to assist in any way that he can. He'll also be walking around, and if you can't spot him immediately, catch one of us and we'll catch him for you. Remember that it's not always a smooth process. Discussion is good, but discussion should be done in a separate area, and bring in Chris when needed. Next. This is all about mentorship and support. We're all here to help each other. There are some new judges coming on board this year. There's some judges who've done this for many years in the past. So we've made some changes to the judging process itself, as some of the previous judges probably recognize. But we're here to support one another and to make this a memorable and successful science fair for the students. In support of that, if you must cancel and cannot attend the science fair, please let us know ahead of time so that we can make changes to the judging assignments well before Saturday, April the 5th itself. It gets a little busy on Saturday morning, and making last minute changes can get a little tricky. Lastly, if you have a student that you're related to or you've instructed in their project, please let us know so that we can be sure not to assign you to their project for judging. This is to ensure that all judging is fair for all students that are participating. Again, I'm pushing the judge's handbook. The link should be on the chat. The PDF is in the email sent to you. Do download a copy, take a look at the sections that cover some sample questions that you can ask the students. The rubric is there for you to get familiar with. The schedule is there so that you know exactly what times you need to get in and out the various stages of judging. It's a handy piece of documentation that'll make your day easier on the science fair day itself. And with that, this concludes the formal session of the orientation. We will take some questions either on the chat or live. I see Sherwin has asked, are we allowed to take pictures of the projects? Chris, what's the rules on pictures?
We do have releases from the students or from parents for the committee to take pictures of the projects, and we do that. For judges, if you take pictures of the projects, I think if you use them for reminding you of what you saw while you're actually making your deliberations, I think that's fair. But I would ask that you delete anything before you leave the building. I think that that would respect the student's privacy. So use it as
Taking a picture without the student, would that be okay, Chris?
yes, I think so. But you got to be careful because often the student's name is
Yeah.
displayed on the project. I think using them as a tool to help in your deliberations is fair game, but taking them with you outside of the project hall or away from the building is probably not advisable. Now, Scott, do you have anything you might want to add to that?
Yes, we also use the pictures for media release. And
Yes.
so they are used for outside sources, but that's only stipulated within the permission form from the parents.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a release for the committee, but not for our judges. But if you just if the pictures don't leave the building, that's fine. I wanted to add one more thing. The rubric is a general rubric, and one of the reasons we don't want the students to see the marks is if you apply it really rigorously, students in lower grades will end up with pretty low marks, and that's according to the rubric. That doesn't reflect how good they are as a grade 4 or grade 5 or grade 6. But I would apply the rubric rigorously, and then that'll help you in your comparisons. But the marks would often be in the 50s and 60%, and these are kids who are used to getting A's and do have an A project. So recognize the marks for what they are, a way to rank, and don't try and embarrass kids they're all there because they've got a level 3 or 4 project at their grade. But as you recognize, that one rubric covers all grades. So naturally, there will be some really low marks in the junior ends. Okay, are there any other questions before I wrap up? That was a good question about pictures, though. And we did cover dress code. And so the only other thing I would say is if you take away something here really simple, rank the projects, be kind, and be on time. Now Murphy's Law is going to intercept somewhere, and but what happens, we're just like a duck, you know, we look very calm on the surface, but we all paddle like crazy underneath, and we get the job done. I want to thank you all very much for showing up tonight. And I hope that, and if you have any questions or you can't find the handbook, email me directly. And I'm sure you've got my email somewhere, or Saravi, who's been the one who's been contacting you, Saravi Karpakal, you will have her email address. Either one of us can send you the handbook directly, or you can find it on the QRSTF website, as indicated in the second slide.
And this is being recorded, and are we able to watch the recording if we wish?
Hey, Rick,
Yes.
Scott here.
Yes, certainly. Yeah, it is being recorded and it will be posted on the website. Probably in the on the first page, Scott, or in the judges section.
Judges section would be more appropriate.
Okay,
What I'll do is I'll put it up on YouTube channel and then I'll put the link back into the judges website for you,
Okay.
Rick. No problem.
okay. All right, then, if we have nothing else that you have in mind, then you're free to go on to your own merry ways. Thank you very much, and we'll see you April 5th and you'll be just raring to go to meet some really keen kids. Yeah.
Can me and you and Vidya and maybe Scott just stay for a second afterwards?
Sure, we'll hang around for a few minutes. Everybody else, you're welcome to go. Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
There we go.